Isfahan, which is a conversion facility. You cannot weaponize unless you have what's called the conversion process at the beginning of enrichment, and then a conversion process to metallicize.
We're talking about with this leaked
All right,
intel.
so let's pause him there. I agree. Whether it's accurate information or not, either way it comes out, this is, I would agree, treason. And we got to remember, you're in the era of find out, folks. You fool around, you're going to find out now. So let's break this down. Why do I believe it's the latest hoax? And again, why do I think it matters? Because they can't stand it. They can't stand that he was able to pull this off. They can't stand that Trump was able to. I told you yesterday, these Democrats, the mainstream media types, you know, the talking heads, the Anderson Coopers of the like, you know, these people, they don't want peace. They'd rather have death than have Donald Trump be wrong. That's what it is. They want death. They want Donald Trump to be wrong. They don't want peace. If peace comes at the price of Donald Trump being right, they will choose death on massive scale because that's the level of their derangement. There's a reason they call it Trump derangement syndrome. These people are not well. And you know who I'm talking about. It's every single one of them on your friends list or online that pops into social media, wants to comment on this, that, or the other thing. And they're all ill-informed, misinformed, disinformed, whatever you want to call it, ignorant, just flat out all together. So break down the hoax with me. We're supposed to believe all of a sudden that a massive and the biggest of its kind ever, this massive U.S. airstrike on Iran's nuclear sites where they had no idea we were coming. It may have been like top 5 of all time from what I'm hearing, military strikes ever pulled off. This may be one of the top 5 from what I'm hearing, folks in the know saying. It's coordinated with Israel, involving stealth bombers, bunker busters. It barely scratched the surface. That's what we're supposed to believe all of a sudden. No, they're even hedging their conversation here. In fact, when they said, "Oh no, it did do damage. It just didn't do as much damage as they're saying it did." Then why do we have a ceasefire? This is so blatant and obvious on the top surface of it. If it wasn't as bad as we've been told, okay? If it wasn't, and these reports are right, we wouldn't have a ceasefire right now. Neither Iran nor Israel would stop fighting. Neither one. So we're supposed to believe that not only did Trump lie to us, but Israel, their intelligence officials got it wrong too. So they barely scratched the surface, and yet magically both Iran and Israel both agreed to a ceasefire within 48 hours. This is the latest hoax, just like Russian collusion. It's just like mostly peaceful protests. The media now is trying to downplay this because it's a major Trump win. If the strikes were useless, you wouldn't be scrambling Iran anyway to move uranium. They wouldn't be begging for a break. Israel wouldn't stop bombing. And the IAEA wouldn't be in the dark when it comes to where'd the uranium go. It's not just spin, it's narrative warfare. And I believe it's treason, in fact. These people know what they're doing. If the U.S. strikes truly did nothing, why would they rush to the table? Why would they hurry to get this done? Iran has historically only de-escalated under serious pressure. If the nuclear program was untouched, they'd double down, not back down. They'd be out there showing us pictures of it. Look at they barely got us. Boy, they couldn't do anything. And what did they do? Because they said, we have to show something. We have to show some sort of strength. So they attack, try to attack a couple of bases. And they call and warn, hey, we're gonna launch something. We're not gonna do anything. It's not really gonna hit anything, but we just gotta warn you that it's coming. This is so obvious on so many levels to anybody who's been paying attention at all, anybody who has any connection with reality. The problem is that Democrats don't. The problem is that people at mainstream, mainline, MSDNC, and CNN 24/7, they don't. They don't have a clue what's real and what isn't. They think men can have babies. That's the world we're living in. So that's why the hoax works. When you are truly deranged, you'll believe anything that they say, as long as it hits its intended target, which is Trump. Here's another example, I think, number 2, of why I believe we're watching the latest hoax play out. Damage control. Damage control equals real damage. The very fact that Iran claimed the uranium was relocated, but can't say where, and the IAEA said they've lost track. They've lost track of 900 pounds of enriched uranium. Well, I'll tell you where it is. It's blown up. You saw it blow up in the video that we saw come out. That's where it was relocated to. It tells you something was hit and hit hard. When you lose track of that much material, it isn't routine. It's a crisis. They know, and this latest hoax is getting perpetuated every half hour here on this radio station. It's getting perpetuated all over the headlines and all over the news today. It's just stupid. And that's why I'm so offended by it, because here we go again. And the people that shouldn't be falling for it are. So when you present this information, you've got to present it and say, look, this is what's in unnamed sources. They're probably the same unnamed sources that brought you the Hunter Biden's laptop isn't real hoax. The Russian disinformation. You remember all of that stuff? That's the same people that are saying this. So you believe it or not. But it's the lead story because people go, oh, no, what happened? And then the problem is you get people that are commenting or people that are part of delivering this stuff. They have no idea because it's just not something that they even pay attention to that much. You got news readers telling you the story here instead of people that actually understand and know the news. And I'm sorry, I'm not saying anything that's new. And you, if you listen to this program or you've listened to talk radio or you have been, I don't know, conscious at least for more than just a year or so, you know. You see, right? I'm preaching to the choir. I get it. I understand. Look, I've got a number of these, by the way. I've got a number of them. And the next one targets CNN. I've got probably 3 more. I want to make these points of why this whole thing's a hoax. Listen, do me a favor right now. Don't go anywhere unless you pick up the phone and tell somebody else to listen to this, because I got 3 more I want to get to, but I gotta get a quick break in here. So let me do that. And then I'll come back and tell you why. Get warning. Don't fall for it. It's just the latest hoax. We'll reveal it and why, and I'll break it down, all coming up. Plus, we talked to Rep. Steve Carr today. What happened with Jocelyn Benson? Yeah, we got the mayor's race in New York City, and I think I've got some good news. A lot of people probably wouldn't agree with me on this, but I'll tell you why I think it's good news. Coming up in just moments, folks. Don't go anywhere. Sleep well at night, folks. If you are locked in with Talon Wealth, guardingyournestegg.com, doesn't matter what the markets do. You're going to sleep well at night because you're going to know that you're taken care of. You've got the strategy, a holistic approach that Mike Lester and the team at Talon Wealth has implemented for years. I'm looking at the futures. It's pretty much unchanged this morning. Nothing big to write home about, but you know, it can feel like a roller coaster ride. There's no doubt about it. It's a fact. But you don't have to. Like I said, you don't have to feel queasy. You don't have to feel uneasy, whether you want to retire today, tomorrow, 10, 20 years down the road. Mike Lester and the team at guardingyournestegg.com are going to take care of you. Reach out on the phone today, Talon Wealth, and ask to speak with the team, 616-661-1000, or online again at guardingyournestegg.com. But don't wait.
Setting the record straight. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM, and on demand anytime on the iHeartRadio app.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Wednesday, June 25th. I'm Robin Hoffman. It's a Midwesterner.news original story. The pictures tell the story. Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson's appearance before the House Oversight Committee raising eyebrows after it appears one of Benson's aides aides caught feeding real-time answers to Benson's chief of staff, Christina Anderson, during her testimony on the state's contract with Tyler Technologies. It's another Midwesterner.news original story. Turns out folks living here in Governor Whitmer's Michigan more dependent on government than residents of 39 other states. The findings by personal finance website WalletHub. President Trump in the Netherlands for the NATO summit. He praises Israel and Iran for sticking to the terms of the ceasefire.
Israel came back yesterday. I was so proud of them because they came back. You know, they went out because they felt it was a violation. And technically they were right, but it just wouldn't have worked out very well.
Meanwhile, the fear here in the U.S., an Iran attack on the homeland. ICE agents busy arresting 16 Iranian nationals here in the U.S. illegally who crossed during the Biden-Harris administration and the wide-open southern border. For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
I'm Dr. Damon Tanton for Viome. Viome's full-body intelligence.
Okay, folks, here we go. We're rolling after it. Got to say good morning to you folks. I got to try and save my voice this morning. I just got hit with something out of the blue yesterday. I don't know if it's allergies or something from the kids or what, but I mean, I could barely sleep last night. Part of my problem was I took some Sudafed and the good stuff. The kind they probably use on Breaking Bad. Walter White is probably that kind. You have to buy through the pharmacist. Usually I'm okay with that. I can drink any caffeine, anything, and still be able to sleep fine, but I was not well rested last night. So I just couldn't breathe. So here I am powering through it and trying not to speak or talk more than I need to this morning. But I do want to say good morning to everybody. So probably the air quality. Probably it might be. Lori, there is chat today. I don't know why you're not seeing it. Maybe refresh. Terry, just so you know, all the election fraud with the 2020 election was exposed by Mike Lindell in 2020. Just so big portions of it were, for sure. Mike has been on the scene from the beginning. He's somebody that we continue to support. And if you support Mike, you can support us. MyPillow.com/Justin. Promo code Justin helps support the program as well. Gritter, good to see you, my friend Hemi, as always. Just reported 13 minutes ago, U.S. airstrikes set Iran's nuclear program back many years, the Israel Atomic Energy Commission assesses. Well, there you go. I would agree. There is a reason Israel came to the table, and so did Iran. Jared Bear, good to see you. I usually listen on Rumble. I've been a long-time listener and supporter. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much. Very cool. What is this? This is your new song, just released. It's about Michigan. Very cool, man. Hang on a second. If we got permission to play it, we will. Terry, good to see you. Salo, Panda, and so many others. We have to preview it here. I can't play it on the air without listening to it. No profanity or anything. Go AF, Mando, Kelly, good to see you. Appreciate you over on Rumble this morning. Got the Rumblers. Listen in, and Bonnie, Sherry, Jack, Mike, good to see you, Sue, and many others back on the air here momentarily. Stand by.
Those for road trips with summer playlists like Summer Classic.
I don't want to get a copyright hit for that. All right, stand by. Here we go.
Listen to Wood Radio on our free iHeartRadio app, powered by Michigan Auto Law. Auto accident attorneys. Visit autolaw.com.
That's autolaw.com.
Well, back at it, and you can join the program at any time. 616-774-2424, the iHeartRadio app. Just click that microphone next to the playback feature, or the play button, and there you get it on the air. Comment, complain, anything, critique. We're up for all of it. All right, number 3. I'm going through the big 5 reasons why this hoax is just busted. The hoax is, they got it. They hit the nuclear spots in Iran, but they didn't really do as much damage as they said. Now, just released moments ago, by the way, Iran's nuclear program set back many years. This comes from Israel intelligence. So maybe we'll get that added into our news this morning. But it is a straight up mainstream hoax this morning, and I'm telling you, I've got nothing better than this number 3 here for you on my points here to make it. I think CNN citing their anonymous sources again. Anytime you hear that, you know it's baloney. A leak, anonymous sources, sure. So the same people behind the Hunter Biden laptop, no, that thing's not real, Russian collusion, all the rest of it. The same people want us to believe. This time they're telling the truth. Back with more after this.
Make your smart speaker smarter. Stream us.
Okay, getting smarter now.
It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9
This
FM.
is a Money Minute with Gary Mattson and Laurel Stewart of Mattson Financial Services. Most of us think we have to be super wealthy in order to leave a lasting legacy to our families, but you say that's simply not.
Okay, sorry. I'm not, I really don't want to be so harsh on these people, but I've got to make the point, and I've got to drive it home. I know there are good people out there that fall for this stuff all the time, but it drives me crazy. And why? It's because they're either useful idiots. No, they're useful idiots, by the way. They either know exactly what they're doing, or they don't know at all, and in which case, it's both of them. I don't know which one's worse, honestly. But they both accomplish this whole idea of the PSYOP, the psychological operation. It's plain and simple. This whole thing is obviously baloney. So anyway, we'll see what the news says here. Hang on. See how they report it here.
Good morning. It is 9:30. 73 at the Lakeshore, 74 under cloudy skies in Grand Rapids. I'm Tony Allen for Radio News. Our top story, we are waiting for comments from President Trump to cap off a NATO summit in the Netherlands. Allies have reportedly agreed to Trump's proposed 5% defense spending target, something that Secretary General Mark Rutte says was the top thing on his agenda.
In this meeting, we will take historic, transformational decisions to make our people safer through a stronger, fairer, and more lethal NATO.
Trump was also expected to meet on the sidelines today with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. Our top local story, a family of 3 is safe, but
nothing about the hoax. Maybe they're listening. And quite frankly, that's exactly what this top story should be, is that not only did he dominate this, but he also went to NATO, and he's about to read them the riot act as well, which is it's important. It's important. But yes, when they do this, say they create a whole morning or a whole day where CNN or MSDNC are out putting this news out there, and quite frankly, like I said, it detracts away from the truth. So it happens every time there's something new, and I shouldn't be offended by it. I really shouldn't. But you know what it is? It is my passion for the truth that I think just sets me off, because I see people manipulated. Look, I can see through this stuff, and I'm sure many of you do too, but I can see through this stuff a mile away. And I know not everybody has that. I know not everybody can. Look, some of it is discernment. Some of it is a gift, I understand it, but it is wisdom. It's experience. There's a lot of this that, praise God. It's not just me. But you see enough of it. If it walks like a duck, all of that, you just know. And so that's where we are with this. And that's why I get so upset about it. Because these people, they're either so dumb they don't deserve. Let's be honest. They don't deserve the platforms that they have. Or they're in on it, and that makes it even worse. And they certainly don't deserve the platforms that they have. I mean, you got the guy. It's world. He's actually been able to broker world peace in the Middle East. I mean, this is a massive story, and yet they're trying to, you know what, on it once again. Anyway, let's take a little moment. Maybe something like a little lighter moment here. Jer Bear's got this song. Let's listen, Jer Bear. Hopefully, it's not no bad lyrics or anything that I have to. There's no profanity or swearing, right? It's called "Oh Michigan." That's nice. I like that. I don't think you can hear it, though, can you, folks? I'm so sorry. I'm over here listening to it, and you guys can't hear it. I'm getting into it. It sounds good. I'd listen to this. So, what, Jer Bear? What do you call yourself? If people want to look this up, it says "Honest to Goodness." Is that the name of the group or the band or what you go by? Take a listen to this, folks. Oh, hang on.
Though your beauty seems to hide, though Michigan help me comprehend, point to my hand, my favorite place, one.
Like I said, I like it. That's just a preview. Hang on, folks. Maybe we'll try and get a little bit more of it in here at some point. But got to jump back on the air real quick. Jerry, I love it. I love that, man. That's you. Is that you? All you? Honest to Goodness is the name of the project. Honest to Goodness. I'm going to put the link up so people can go check it out, too. Put the link in the chat if you guys want to go support. You guys give that a spin. I don't think you don't have to buy it. You could just you can stream it. It sounds like, or maybe you do buy it. If you like it, maybe you just buy it. There you go. No money in the square jar. That's right. Now it's good. It's family friendly. I like that. Hang on, guys. Back on the air here in just a moment. Steve Carr, Rep Carr, is going to join us coming up in just a second too.
On Wood Radio.
Back at it, powered by Mentality today. I want to tell you why this latest hoax is a hoax, and I got a few more points to make. And then Rep Steve Carra joins us, and he's got the latest. Speaking of busted, she was in front of the oversight hearing yesterday, Jocelyn Benson. We'll have the latest coming up in just a moment. But first, your body's trying to tell you something. That edge you used to have, the energy, the strength, the drive, it's fading. Not your fault. Testosterone levels in men have dropped every generation in normal ranges. They lie. That's why over 20,000 men have come to Mentality, because normal doesn't build legacies. Look, we need you in the fight. We need you to be the best husbands, the best fathers, the best in your calling on a daily basis. If you've been waiting for a sign, this may be it. Nothing's going to change unless you do. So go to mentalityhealth.com/radio. That's mentalityhealth.com/radio and take your life back. We need you. We need you in the fight. All right, so let me get through. I said I made 5 points here why we believe this latest hoax is a hoax, just to help you wrap your head around it. I mean, I can tell just by hearing it, but this idea that, yes, Trump and we did this amazing strike in Iran. We got the nuclear facility. They did do some damage, but just not enough. And it'll only take them 3 months. First, how in the world would they even know at this point that quickly? Oh, just a few months. That's all it was. That's why I believe also these hoaxes are so dumb. I mean, this is literally, what does it accomplish? They just try to take a little bit of the shine off of this thing. The same people that told you Hunter Biden's laptop was real, the same people behind the Russian, all of that stuff, the Russia, all that, all of the hoaxes, they're the ones who are trying to tell us now that this is the case. So here's what I wrote down for you. Number one, ceasefires don't happen without leverage. There's no way Israel and Iran both come to the table within 48 hours, and they're keeping it now. If this wasn't real and they did significant damage, there's just no way. Number two, damage control equals real damage. The very fact Iran claimed the uranium was relocated, but they can't say where, and nobody can find it, at nearly 900 pounds of enriched uranium, tells you something was hit and was hit hard. I'll tell you where it was relocated. Relocated into the atmosphere, probably. CNN, citing anonymous sources yet again. Number three, it's always a red flag. The Pentagon leak conveniently undercuts Trump, and after a major military success. Notice the timing. Trump announces total destruction. CNN rushes in to say, actually, no, not really. And they didn't even want to report it as it was being reported on the air. The ceasefire, remember that? Anderson Cooper, they had to go back and kill him. They had to go through with the actually, no, we are getting word now that this is real. None of this makes any sense if you really wrap your head around it. Number four, Israel wouldn't pause unless they saw real results. They've been launching major airstrikes independently before the U.S. was involved. They said they'll act alone if needed. So ask yourself, really, would Israel of all nations agree to a ceasefire unless they saw significant impact on the Iranian nuclear threat? No, it's highly unlikely. Number five, is Iran's regime saving face? Iran's leadership may be pretending nothing serious happened, likely to avoid panic or unrest, but their behavior, scrambling to move materials, agreeing to a ceasefire, sudden silence, that tells the real story. Bottom line, you don't call a timeout if you're winning. Both Iran and Israel agreeing to a ceasefire tells you everything you need to know, and that's obvious to me. And I can't believe I even have to say this, but we will, because the other voices are so loud and so repetitive on CNN, MSDNC, 13, and the rest. The strikes work. Media spin is trying to walk it back to hurt Trump. They can't stand that he got another big win and probably avoided World War III. You remember that? Oh, it's going to be World War III. Well, either that or he just avoided it. And in a heartbeat. All right, Rep. Steve Cora joins us now. Rep, I appreciate you taking the time to be here with us. A lot's to work through today, but yesterday was a big day. In fact, in Lansing, you guys had hearings. Jocelyn Bisson, Secretary of State, there in the hot seat. And, of course, she kind of got busted. It looks like she was getting some help from behind the scenes on some of the questions that she was trying to answer. We got that story, but we're also learning that she just stayed mum on a few things as well. Welcome in, Rep. Appreciate you being here.
Hey, thanks for having me, Justin. Be on with you as always.
So let's start with this. What was the reason? Why did she come in? I know they get this website that's pretty much worthless that she hadn't been able to put together. And, of course, I keep wondering, if you fail at the job of Secretary of State, the waits are very long if you can get in. And I mean, that's just like sort of the price of entry. Forget all the times that she's been accused of breaking the law, and of course she has, caught red-handed over and over and over again when it comes to election issues. If you can't do that job, why do you think we would promote you to governor?
It's a great question. And one of the points I made, she has more unfavorable election-related lawsuits than any other Secretary of State on record in history, and she doesn't want to face facts. But one of the things that I brought up was she gave us a document to the Oversight Committee. It was presented to me about 10 minutes before the committee started. It was just over 4 pages, but it talked about the total implementation cost for this new MITN Mitten website, which is where we do our financial disclosures, lobbyist support, and we just have our records for financials for elected officials. so that there's transparency in terms of where people are getting money going, how much money they have. So they changed over to Mitten was the plan, but that was supposed to be done back in ready to roll out. Well, unfortunately, earlier this year, they were having so many problems that they needed an extension, they needed to spend more money, they had to come back and make fixes. But the initial implementation was $1.7 million. And I had to ask people a couple weeks ago in testimony how many man hours went into that $1.7 million. Well,
Rep, I hate to have to do it, but you're cutting out here. Let me put you on hold. I'm going to see if we can get our producer Adam to pick him up and see if we can get him on another line or something. I hate this is important stuff. I just want to make sure. Michigan's Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson in the Oversight Committee hearing yesterday, turning it into a political circus in some ways, fielding tough questions about her botched rollout of a new election system, which, again, is part of what he was just talking about there. Caught on camera. You can't make this stuff up. Caught on camera, sharp-eyed photographers there caught her team feeding her answers live through a private chat. I guess that's how she wants to govern if she's elected governor here. She'll just have George Soros or somebody pushing her, texting her answers for whatever questions she might have. Republicans say it looked more like a stage production than real testimony, and it comes as her $44 million MITN, that's the Mitten platform Steve was just talking about, plagued with glitches and transparency issues under fire. Tyler Technology, the vendor behind it, has already issued refunds, but critics aren't buying the damage control. And Benson, as I mentioned, eyeing a 2026 run for governor, this debacle raising some serious red flags. And you were just talking about it, Rep. I appreciate it. We get you back on. $1.7 million, is that correct?
That was the total implementation cost for their initial rollout, with 10,461 man hours going into that. So I just made the point that was $163 per hour. Is the audio better?
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay. And so $163 per hour is pretty expensive. Well, I just thought that those were the numbers she gave us. Those were her own records. I thought she'd just accept those numbers as fact and we could have a conversation over it. But she was like, oh, well, thank you, Representative, but there's actually updated numbers, and she tried to divert. Well, the updated numbers are because they had to go back and fix the mistakes they made in the past, which was more man hours, more cost, and it changes the numbers. But I said, I'm not looking for the total cost. I'm looking for the total implementation cost of what it was out of the gate. And they weren't having anything to do with it. They were trying to confuse the situation. I wouldn't let them do it. And it was pretty bad through the process.
I know she was asked point blank after all of this going on, what vote of confidence can you give Michigan voters? Instead of answering, she pivoted to tout her record on government reform. Listen, this goes again to the idea that she could be qualified to become the governor of the state at all. She says, we're continuing to take on massive systems transformed to make Michigan's government more accessible, transparent, cost-effective, and secure. And she just, to me, hasn't proved she's been able to do that at all. This latest botched rollout, some of the legal troubles she's had, the lawsuits, et cetera, and refusing to reassure us, voters here in Michigan about the fact that she can't be trusted. I think it's going to take a toll on her campaign. I think folks here in Michigan ought to demand answers. What's your take on that?
Absolutely. All of those things, plus she announced her campaign from a taxpayer-funded bill, and that was a campaign by. You're not allowed to use resources for campaign efforts. And I asked her, that was my last question to her. I said, if you were to apologize for this Mitten screw up, all these election lawsuits that you've had, the violation of your campaign from the taxpayer-funded bill, if you were to apologize one of those to the people of Michigan, which one would you apologize for? And she didn't want to apologize.
Of course not.
And she tried to sidestep that. You're not apologizing for, and she chose.
We keep you keep breaking up every other word there, Rep. I apologize. We'll see if we can get a better phone line, something a little more clear, maybe like a landline or something. We'll work with you off the air. I got to take a quick break anyway, though. Folks, it's the latest stories you won't hear anywhere else, and I've got more. In fact, there's a couple of big ones that you're going to need to hear about. What happened in Texas the other day? They've indicted this young man. I guarantee this will be the next big case that they try and push us towards in our face and get us divided as a country along racial divide. But there's more good news I've got for you, too, and that's one of the things that happened in New York City yesterday. Not a lot of people excited about it. This straight-up socialist won the Democrat primary to become the mayor. I'll tell you why I think that's actually good news coming up after this. West Michigan Live, we continue. And the after show's coming up, too. Fastest hour on radio, flying right along. Don't go anywhere. Stick with us, folks. They keep me moving all summer long. My girls, that is. They're 4 and 2, and we are having so much fun each and every day, even in the heat. And you know what keeps me on my feet and comfortable? The Good Feet store. And I walked in with leg pain, back pain, foot pain, and you name it. And now I'm pain-free because of the Good Feet store. I feel more balanced, more stable. My body just functions better, and I can finally enjoy all the activities without having to pay for it later. You can, too, possibly. You go on and check it out and see if it's right for you. The Good Feet store at 28th Street, right in front of Costco, or in Portage on Westage in front of Kohl's. Come in and experience the Good Feet feeling for yourself. At the Good Feet store, live life, and you can do it to the fullest, pain-free with a Good Feet store.
Breaking down the story. It's West Michigan Live with Justin Barkley on News Radio Wood 1300 and 106.9 FM.
Here are your headlines from the Midwesterner this Wednesday, June 25th. I'm Robin Poffman. Her record is going to be hard to run on under Democrat Governor Whitmer's leadership. Unemployment here in Michigan remains the second highest nationally for the third month in a row. Michigan's jobless rate at 5.4% in May. More negative news for the governor. A new Wallet Hub survey finds residents here in Michigan more dependent on government than residents of 39 other states.
The last thing they want to do is enrich anything right now. They want to recover. And we won't let that happen. Number one, militarily we won't.
President Trump in the Netherlands for the NATO summit. He's speaking about the U.S. airstrikes on Iran's nuclear facilities, saying they were a complete success, despite a report on far-left CNN that they were not.
I believe it was total obliteration. I believe they didn't have a chance to get anything out because we acted fast. If it would have taken 2 weeks, maybe, but it's very hard to remove that kind of material.
For these stories and more, visit The Midwesterner at themidwesterner.news.
Are good-looking shoes painful, but you don't want to wear ugly shoes? The Good Feet store can help you wear heels, boots, and dress shoes again in comfort. Trade in your bad feet for good feet.
Thanks to the Good Feet store.
Summer's in.
All right, folks. Sorry to clear my throat there. But that's exactly what's trying to keep it going here today. Thank you for clicking share today on the broadcast. If you're watching on Facebook, Rumble, X, even YouTube, no matter where you're watching, we appreciate you sharing this out, getting the word out. It definitely helps move the needle. We're breaking the algorithm is what we have to do. We're breaking the algorithm. I'm going to pick a winner today, end of the show, as we wrap up at the after show. Plus, we forgot to announce our winner yesterday. We have one. We forgot to announce it. I'll tell you who that is, and we do both of those coming up at the end of the show. And flying right along, man. This is a day filled with it. All right, back at it. Got an after show. Got to fire it up too. Coming up in just moments. We'll put the wraps on this thing. Hang on. Mando Mark, well, my wife is among the newly unemployed. She and 200 plus other fellow employees at Smart and Nash. Man, I am sorry to hear that. I guess that's part of all the latest with that merger. I hate seeing stuff like that because you had a local company, and I understand this stuff happens from time to time, but you have a local company that was such good roots in the community. And then all of a sudden, all of that sort of, for nothing. After you have a big merger acquisition, something like that come in, and yeah, it's not no bueno. I'll put it that way. I just don't like to see that at all. Hang on, folks. Back. We'll be praying for you, though, brother, and of course, the others there as well. Stand by. Back at it.
Clay as the promo code at lifelock.com. Terms apply.
This hour on Wood Radio is brought to you by Michigan Auto Law. Auto accident attorneys. Visit autolaw.com.
That's autolaw.com.
So a straight-up socialist just won the Democrat primary, mayoral race there in New York City. You got Curtis Sliwa, who's a Republican. They got him on Fox News this morning, and I think they also talked with Mayor Eric Adams earlier as well today. Sliwa's a Republican, so he's on the other side of the aisle. And Adams was a Democrat. Remember, he decided to become an independent because they came after him, particularly the Biden administration. When he said, look, all this illegal immigration, all this stuff, you're bringing these people here to the city, it's crippling the city. I mean, it's killing us. So Zoran Mamdani, a 33-year-old Democrat socialist and New York State Assembly member, just pulled off a stunning upset, they say, in the New York Democratic mayoral primary, overtaking former Governor Andrew Cuomo with roughly 43.5% to Cuomo's 36.4% of first choice votes. They had their ranked choice voting there, too, which is another boondoggle in the scheme. Strong grassroots support, backed by figures like Bernie Sanders, AOC, and cross endorsements from Bladlander. Mamdani, now presumptive nominee, if victory holds through ranked choice tabulation expected next week, he'll be New York City's first Muslim mayor and a bold test case for progressive government on a $115 billion budget. It'll be the end of New York City. And why? Once and for all, maybe it'll put an end to this. I know people have short memories. But he ran this campaign. I'm telling you, folks, keep running, Democrats. Keep running like this, and then you're going to run people out of New York City. And why I think it's good news is because the rest of the party's doing the same thing. AOC, Bernie, the squad, they're all running things. And look how ridiculous they look to the rest of the world. In fact, they are. They keep running further to the left, and people will keep running from the Democrat Party. Meanwhile, you got President Trump over here, peace through strength. The economic wins, making America great again. It's everything the Democrat Party used to be or really wished or hoped they could be. And, folks, it'll help us down the road. In the meantime, short term, you're in New York City. I'm sorry. I would strongly suggest looking to get out of there as quickly as you can. I got more. We're going to cover it all. The After Show, Fastest Hour on Radio's Fly By After Show coming up next. You can watch and listen. Facebook, Twitter, X, Rumble, Getter, Locals, YouTube, JustinBarkley.com, the iHeartRadio app, wherever you download your podcast. Make it a great day. God bless.
Our Father, who art in the heavens, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. God is the kingdom, and our glory forever and ever. Amen. Amen.
WOOD Grand Rapids, WOOD FM Muskegon. The news is next on Wood Radio.
The crown of Independence Day weekend for years has been the Living in Freedom event at New Chapel. Hey, it's Justin Barkley. This year, July 6th, they're hosting Pastor Willie George with thrilling carnival rides, games, inflatables, free food trucks, the car show, and giveaways, including family fun packs and a premium shotgun, and so much more. The best part? It's all free. Fun for the whole family. New Chapel, a quarter mile west of Alpine and 4 Mile. Living in Freedom, July 6th. Get all the details at newchapel.com/freedom. Okay, here we go, folks. The after show is on the go. Stand by, just clicking a few buttons, and we'll make it happen. I'll talk until I can't talk anymore. Hey, just a reminder tonight, no Fireside Chat tonight. It is tomorrow night, which is probably helpful with everything that's going on. Voice and all. So, yeah, we'll be fired up and ready for that later tomorrow night. If you missed it, the Ryan Kelly conversation that happened yesterday on Locals, it's free to watch if you're a member on Locals. Trump live in NATO. Oh, goodness gracious. Let's get the the after show fired up then. Let's get to him. Stand.
Get ready to strap in. It's going to be a heck of a ride. It's like drinking from a fire hose. Never a dull moment, but yes, you'll hear the stories you won't hear anywhere else, and we appreciate you being here with us for them today. I'm Justin Barclay.
All right, welcome into the after show, the show after the show. We got Trump. They're setting him up. Looks like he's going to speak here at NATO. I got a little bit of a delay here, but I believe we have. No, that's Jerome Powell. Hang on. Let me make sure I get the right
agreement.
Here he is.
Late Monday, and we call it the 12-day.
The 12-day war.
Spoke to a few people. I guess that just sounded like the right name. It was a 12-day war. And we think it's over. I don't think they're going to be going back at each other. I don't think so.
Trump speaking
Not only have
live
we
at
dealt
NATO.
decisively with the critical threat of Iran's nuclear program, which was what I wanted. I said, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I've said that for 15 years, long before I decided to do the political thing. But we've also reasserted the credibility of American deterrence, which is like no other. The people at NATO said there's never been anything. You know, I rebuilt the entire military during my first term. And we have a great military. We have great generals. Got to know the good ones and the bad ones. We kept the good ones. Over the past 2 days, I was honored to participate in the NATO leaders meeting and also had extremely good individual discussions with the King and the Queen, Secretary General Ruta, and the Prime Minister. Great discussions. Very knowledgeable people. Major focus of our conversations at the summit was the need for other NATO members to take up the burden of the defense of Europe, and that included the financial burden. As you know, it was 2%, and we got it up to 5%. And they said, a couple of them came up to me, one in particular said, "Sir, we've been trying to get it up to 3% for 20 years, and we haven't been able, and you got it up to 5%. So they're going to be, most of them, I guess almost all of them, are going to be contributing now 5%, a number that people are surprised at, but you need it today. The United States accounts for 2/3 of all NATO defense spending, and since I began pushing for additional commitments in 2017, believe it or not, our allies have increased spending by $700 billion. I said to people, you don't have any money, and a lot of them weren't paying. And so I started the process, and I picked it up as soon as I got back, which is 6 months ago. And following my election last November, almost all have accelerated plans to reach the 2%, 3%, 4%, and then ultimately, very quickly, 5%. And all of this is going to be done very quickly, almost immediately. You probably know this as well as I do. I'm sure they've been talking about it. It's really been a big focus. In a very historic milestone this week, the NATO allies committed to dramatically increase their defense spending to that 5% of GDP, something that no one really thought possible. And they said, "You did it, sir, you did it." Well, I don't know if I did it, but I think I did. This will be known as the Hague Defense Commitment, which is pretty good, pretty appropriate. When the allies reach this number, it will add more than $1 trillion a year. Think of that, $1 trillion per year to our common defense. And this is a monument really to victory, but it's a monumental win for the United States because we were carrying much more than our fair share. It was quite unfair, actually. But this is a big win for Europe and for actually Western civilization. For years, past administrations failed to get most allies to contribute even the 2%. I remember when I came here, we had 4 countries that were up to 2%, and I remember Poland was there. A couple of them were there, and but most of them were. We had 28 at the time, as you know. It's increased a little bit, and they've agreed now to more than double their budgets in all cases. And Europe stepping up to take more responsibility for its security will help prevent future disasters like the horrible situation with Russia and Ukraine, and hopefully we're going to get that solved. Last week they lost 7,000 soldiers, mostly soldiers, but they're also getting hit in Kiev. They're getting hit in some of the towns also. And that means life. Life is disappearing also in the cities and towns. Should have never happened, would have never happened if I was president. Said it 1,000 times. And it never did happen. It's never even thought about. But it's vital that this additional money be spent on very serious military hardware, not bureaucracy. And hopefully that hardware is going to be made in America because we have the best hardware in the world. You saw that where 14 missiles were shot at us the other day. And they were very nice. They gave us warning. They said, we're going to shoot them. Is 1 o'clock okay? They said, it's fine. And everybody was emptied off the base, so they couldn't get hurt except for the gunners.
Wow.
They call them the gunners. And out of 14 high-end missiles that were shot at the base in Qatar, all 14, as you know, were shot down by our.
Yeah, but that's just, they didn't really get the nuclear sites. That's just minimal damage there. Apparently.
Amazing stuff. Amazing that they can do. It's like shooting a bullet with a bullet. It's the same thing if you think about it. 14 out of 14, and they weren't even that surprised. I said, "Do you do that well often?" They say, "We pretty much do, sir." The Ukraine crisis has also highlighted the urgency of rebuilding our defense industrial base, both in the United States and among the allied nations. We cannot afford to be dependent on foreign adversaries for critical minerals. And as you know, we made a deal with Ukraine to take a vast amount of the land they have for minerals. We need it. And once again, I want to thank all of the people in the Netherlands, incredible people. It's a great place. And all of the NATO allies for the tremendous summit that we just had. A letter just came in, and a statement came in from the Atomic Energy Commission of Israel. And I just wanted, this is an official letter, and they're very serious people, as you know. The devastating U.S. strike on Fordo destroyed the site's critical infrastructure and rendered the enrichment facility totally inoperable. It was devastated. We assess that the American strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities has set back Iran's ability to develop nuclear weapons for many years to come. This achievement can continue indefinitely if Iran does not get access to nuclear material, which it won't. It's so sad that that whole thing had to go. But I just want to thank our pilots. You know, they were maligned and treated very bad, demeaned by fake news CNN, which is back there, believe it or not, wasting time, nobody's watching them, so they're just wasting a lot of time, wasting my time. And the New York Times, they put out a story that, well, maybe they were hit, but it wasn't bad. Well, it was so bad that they ended the war. It ended the war. Somebody said in a certain way,
obvious.
It was so devastating, actually. If you look at Hiroshima, if you look at Nagasaki, you know, that ended a war too. This ended a war in a different way, but it was so devastating. Also, they have, out of Dubai, just came that Iran's
no
foreign
civilians
ministry
hit or hurt.
spokesman, this is Iran's foreign ministry, says it's near its nuclear installations were very badly damaged by the American strike. So what bothered me about these reports were fake reports put out by the New York Times, failing, I call it the failing New York Times because it's doing terribly. Without me, it would be doing no business at all. But, and by fake news, CNN and MSDNC, all of these terrible people, you know, they have no credibility. You know, when I started, they were at 94% credibility, the media. Now it's at 16%. And I'm very proud of it because I've exposed it for what it is. But when I saw them starting to question the caliber of the attack, was it bad? Well, it was really bad. It was devastating. They were obliterated. In fact, you can't get into the tunnels. They just put that over. That just came out. They can't. There's nothing. There's no way you can even get down. The whole thing is collapsed in a disaster. And I think all of the nuclear stuff is down there because it's very hard to remove. And we did it very quickly. When they heard we were coming, it was, you can't move it. Very hard, very dangerous, actually, to move to. And they also knew we were coming, so I don't think too many people want to be down there knowing we're coming. With the bunker busters, as we call them, we're the only ones that have them. We have the best equipment, best nuclear equipment, and we have the best equipment in the world. And by the way, we can't forget our submarine, which was out there, submarines actually, but submarine was out there. We shot 30 rockets into an area, every single one of them. I think it was almost 400 miles away, I think, Pete, right? 400, and long. It was in the ocean, long ways away. And we shot a total of 30. Every single one of them hit within 9 inches from where it was supposed to be. It took it a lot because we didn't do just Fordo. We did 2 others in addition, which hadn't been completely destroyed. So we hit them with a submarine from hundreds of miles away. Amazing, just amazing equipment. Greatest submarines in the world. Nobody's even close. They're 20 years behind us when it comes to submarine technology. So that's one, and the other was from the Atomic Energy Commission, and they have about 3 or 4 of them now coming in from Atomic Energy Commissions from various places. But the one that we have that just came out, we released it a little while ago, was from the Israeli Atomic Energy Commission, but numerous of them are getting to see the site, and the site has been demolished. And again, we had these brave patriots, these incredible flyers, these people that can fly a plane better than anybody can fly a plane, going into very hostile territory, flying into the territory that has got more missiles and things pointed at it. But it was very stealth. They didn't get to see it. It was dark. That's the amazing thing about the shots. They hit the shots perfectly, and yet it was dead dark. There was no moon. There was no light. It was virtually moonless. It was very dark, and the shots were hit perfectly. But when they get demeaned, and they were very upset about it because they knew how strong it would be. Back in Missouri, the pilots flew about 36 hours, 2 ways, far distance, and in those incredible B-2s. And we then had the F-22s, and we had the F-35s, and we had other planes, and we had, I think, a total of 52 tankers. That means the big tankers, because the refueling was a lot for all of the different planes that we sent. Incredible operation, and I have to say, General Raisin Kane was incredible. That's why he beat ISIS, and we beat ISIS in a matter of weeks. I was told it would take 4 to 5 years. We did it in a few weeks. And he was great. That's why he's the head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff right now, because I had a very good experience with him. He knocked out ISIS in a period of literally a few weeks. Amazing. And it was supposed to take a few years, 5 years to be exact. So we had a great victory there, and we then came here, and I think we had a great victory here. But this is an ongoing project. This is the safety of Europe, the safety of the world. And they've raised it from 2% to 5%, something which nobody, and you're talking about over $1 trillion a year. So we're talking about a lot of money from coming in from countries that we're not paying nearly enough to be effective. So I have, as you know, Marco Rubio with me, and Pete Hegseth, Secretary of State and Secretary of War. Should we say Secretary? It used to be called Secretary of War. Maybe for a couple of weeks we'll call it that, because we feel like warriors. Used to be called Secretary of War. In fact, if you look at the old building next to the White House, you can see where it used to be Secretary of War. Then we became politically correct, and they called it Secretary of Defense. I don't know, maybe we'll have to start thinking about changing it, but we feel that way. Do we have any questions, please? Wow. That's a lot of questions. Who's a nice person? Oh, you're not a nice person, but I'll let you ask one.
Here we go.
What's he going to ask?
Looks like press conference.
He is not nice at all.
NATO, President Trump.
I know him well.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Thank you for taking the time before flying home. You just said you believe the conflict between Israel and Iran is over. What makes you so confident it is? And what do you do if it isn't?
Because I dealt with both, and they're both tired, exhausted. They fought very, very hard and very viciously, very violently. And they were both satisfied to go home and get out. And can it start again? I guess someday it can. It could maybe start soon. I think a big telltale sign was when, as you know, Iran somewhat, by not much, violated the ceasefire. And Israel had the planes going out that morning, and there were a lot of them, 52 of them. And I said, you got to get them back. And they brought them back. They didn't do anything. They brought them back. It was very good. I thought it was amazing, actually. They have fought a hell of a war. They fought very hard. I think the war ended, actually, when we hit the various nuclear sites with the planes. And I just hope you people can give these pilots, these are the best pilots in the world. They're the best shots in the world. They call them shots. That's what they are.
True.
And wait a minute. And I just hope you can give them the respect they deserve, because they came home to fake news. And like, oh, gee, there was hardly any damage. The things are decimated. So, but I think, no, I think they're very much finished. I think Israel's going to get back to doing what they do. And I think that Iran's going to get back. You know, Iran has a huge advantage. They have great oil, and they can do things. I don't see them getting back involved in the nuclear business anymore. I think they've had it. They've been at it for 20 years, and I don't see that happening either. Now, if it does, we're always there. It won't be me. It'll be somebody else, but we're there. We'll have to do something about it. Yes, please, go ahead. Go ahead. Oh, fake news, CNN? Oh, yeah, here we go. Wait till you hear this question.
Oh, boy.
Thank you, sir.
You should really say how great
look at
our
her.
soldiers and our warriors are.
I think everyone appreciates our soldiers and our warriors. I do have two questions for you, Mr.
There we
President.
go.
You just cited Israeli intelligence on these attacks. Earlier, you said U.S. intelligence was inconclusive. Are you relying on Israeli intelligence for your assessment of the impact of the strikes?
No, this is also, Iran made the statement, and it's also, if you read the document that was given, that Pete can talk about if you'd like, the document said it could be very severe damage, but they didn't take that. They said it could be limited or it could be very severe. They really didn't know, other than to say it could be limited or it could be very, very severe. And you didn't choose to put that because it was very early after. Since then, we've collected additional intelligence. We've also spoken to people who have seen the site, and the site is obliterated. And we think everything nuclear is down there. They didn't take it out. Okay, question? Please, go ahead.
This right here
Go ahead.
from Jason.
Yeah.
This
Blue dress.
right on the
Thank
money.
you so much, Mr. President. Yesterday, you said China can now continue to purchase oil from Iran.
Yeah.
Are you giving up on your maximum pressure campaign? Because there
With
are
who?
sanctions right now
With who?
on Iran.
No, look, they just had a war. The war was fought. They fought it bravely. I'm not giving up. They're in the oil business. I mean, I could stop it if I wanted. I could sell China the oil myself. I don't want to do that. They're going to need money to put that country back into shape. We want to see that happen. Would it? No. If they're going to sell oil, they're going to sell oil. We're not taking over the oil. We could have, you know. I used to say with Iraq, keep the oil. I could say it here, too. We could have kept the oil. No, China is going to want to buy oil. They can buy it from us. They can buy it from other people. But you're going to have to put that country back into shape. It desperately needs money. Yeah.
Mr. President.
Yeah, please. Here we go. I'm picking the beauties today. Go ahead.
Mr. President, Secretary General Rutte has described President Putin as an adversary, a threat, an enemy. Do you view him the same way? And in addition to that, you mentioned General Kane, your chief of staff, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff.
General Kane.
Yes. He has said that Mr. Putin has territorial ambitions beyond Ukraine. Do you view that in the same way?
Possible. I mean, it's possible. I know one thing. He'd like to settle. He'd like to get out of this thing. It's a mess for him. He called the other day. He said, can I help you with Iran? I said, no, you can help me with Russia. Because, you know, in the last few weeks, we took care of India and Pakistan, Kosovo, Serbia. I think on Friday we have coming in, the Congo is coming in, and Rwanda is coming in. That was a vicious war that went on, a machete war, heads chopped off all over Africa. They're coming in. We did Two others in addition to that. Nobody's ever done anything like this. No, I consider him a person that's, I think, been misguided. I'm very surprised, actually. I thought we would have had that settled easy. I've settled 4 of them in the meantime. But he did call up and he said, he's close to Iran. He'd like to help us get a settlement. I said, no, you help me get a settlement with Russia. And I think we're going to be doing that too. Yeah, please. Go ahead, please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You've made clear your position on what impact the strikes had. I wanted to ask you what is next with Iran. For instance, is there any indication from U.S. intelligence that Iran was able to move any material, including
No, just the opposite. We think we hit them so hard and so fast they didn't get to move. And if you knew about that material, it's very hard and very dangerous to move. It's called in many people they call it dust, but it's very, very heavy. It's very, very hard to move. And they were way down. They're 30 stories down. They're literally 30, 35 stories down underground.
I think you got it all.
Oh yeah, we think we think it's covered with granite, concrete, and steel.
Can I ask you, are you interested in restarting negotiations with Iran? And if so, have they reciprocated?
So
or is
our
this
people,
sort of a settled
Marco could answer this, but our people are not. I'm not. The way I look at it, they fought. The war's done, and I could get a statement that they're not going to go nuclear. We're probably going to ask for that, but they're not going to be doing it. But they're not going to be doing it anyway. They've had it. They've had it. Now maybe someday in the future we'll want that. But I've asked Marco, do you want to draw? I just asked him the question as we were walking on the stage. Do you want to draw up a little agreement for them to sign? Because I think we can get them to sign it. I don't think it's necessary. Marco, do you want to talk about that, please?
Mr. President, I think President Trump has shown a willingness to meet and talk to anybody in the world who's interested in peace. I don't know of any president that's been as willing as he has to meet with anyone and talk about peace. We'd love to have peaceful relations with any country in the world. And so obviously that'll depend on Iran's willingness not just to engage in peace, but to negotiate directly with the United States, not through some third country or fourth country process. But I know of no president, probably in our modern history, that's sought peace more than President Trump has.
Sounds like the door is open, but you're in no rush. Is that right? It sounds like the door is open, but
I'll tell you what. Look, we're going to talk to them next week with Iran. We may sign an agreement. I don't know. To me, I don't think it's that necessary. I mean, they had a war, they fought. Now they're going back to their world. I don't care if I have an agreement or not. The only thing we'd be asking for is what we were asking for before about we want no nuclear, but we destroyed the nuclear. In other words, it's destroyed. I said Iran will not have nuclear. Well, we blew it up. It's blown up to kingdom come, and so I don't feel very strongly about it. If we got a document, wouldn't be bad. We're going to meet with them, actually. We're going to meet with them. Yeah, go ahead, please.
Mr. President, Netherlands TV, thank you for visiting our country.
Good.
As I understood, I, of course, would like to know how you slept last night at the House of the King.
Oh, I slept beautifully.
But probably a more serious question. I think you just had a meeting with President Zelensky. Did you discuss any ceasefire in this Russo-Ukrainian war?
No. I wanted to know how he's doing. He was very nice, actually. We had little rough times sometimes. He was couldn't have been nicer. I think he'd like to see an end to this. I do. I think what I took from the meeting couldn't have been nicer, actually. But I took from the meeting that he'd like to see it end. I think it's a great time to end it. I'm going to speak to Vladimir Putin and see if we can get it ended. But look, these are brave people. They're fighting these wars all over the place. Last week they had, I guess, close to 7,000 young soldiers, Russian and Ukrainian soldiers, were killed. 7,000 in 1 week. It's crazy. It's crazy. So I'll be speaking to Putin. No, I had a good meeting with Zelensky. And I had a lot of good meetings. We had a lot of good meetings with a lot of people, a lot of great leaders. But he's fighting a brave battle. It's a tough battle. Yeah. Go ahead, white dress.
Thank you. Ida Hallikainen from Finland, Ilta-Sanomat. You have played golf with President Alexander Stubb. How do you see Finland as a NATO ally and partner, and how would you describe your relationship with our president?
Well, he's a very good golfer, okay? In fact, he was on his college golf team. He went to a good college in the South, as you know, a very good college, and he was a good golfer. We had a good time. I think my relationship's great. I want to buy icebreakers. You know, you're very good at icebreakers. And I actually made him an offer. I didn't go to Congress. They'll try and impeach me for this. But there's an old, it's not old, it's fairly new, but it's used icebreaker. And I offered him about 1/3 of what he asked for. But we're negotiating. We need icebreakers in the U.S. And if we can get some inexpensively, I'd like to do that. Actually, they'll fix it up, make it good. Also, we may buy some icebreakers. You know, you're the king of icebreakers, that particular country. They make them good. They make them really good, and they know what they're doing. And so we're negotiating with them for about 15 different icebreakers. But one of them is available now. It's old, and it's, old. It's like 5-6 years old. And we're trying to buy it. I'm trying to make a good deal. It's all I do my whole life. My whole life, that's all I do is make deals. Yeah, please. Go ahead. Sir, go ahead.
Yeah, a question for NewsHour, Dutch TV. First of all, on Article 5, on your way here, you spoke about the commitment of the U.S. to Article 5, saying, I'll give you my definition once we're here. What is your definition, and may the U.S. commitment to Article 5 change in case some of the NATO members do not reach the threshold that was discussed today? My second question is following up on a colleague on Iran. What intel reports do say that everything over there was obliterated?
Yeah, well, there are numerous of those reports, and they're coming out fast and furious. But the most respected ones we've already seen. And I will say that on a very confidential basis, they're looking at the reports, like numerous reports, and including people going to the site and checking the site. And they're going to be having, I guess you're going to be having over the next couple of days you're going to encapsulate it. But no, the site was obliterated, just like I said it was. And just like the pilots should be given credit for. As far as Article 5, look, when I came here because it was something I'm supposed to be doing, but I left here a little bit differently. I said, I watched the heads of these countries get up, and the love and the passion that they showed for their country was unbelievable. I've never seen quite anything like it. They want to protect their country, and they need the United States. And without the United States, it's not going to be the same. And you can ask Mark, or you can ask any of the people that were there. It was really moving to see it. They love their country. They were so respectful of me because I'm the head of the United States. And I made, the King of Saudi Arabia, when I was in the Middle East. So I was in Qatar for a different reason, not a reason to get shot at. We were in there for economic development reasons. Qatar, UAE, and Saudi Arabia, all three leaders of those countries, and we took back $5.1 trillion into the United States. All three leaders said, you're presiding over the hottest country in the world. The United States right now is the hottest. Everybody wants to be there. Everybody wants a piece of it. He said a year ago, your country was dead. You had a deadhead running it. You had a country that was dead, and it was dead. You had people pouring through the borders. You had inflation. You had everything. He said, you've made it in 5 months at that time. You've made it the hottest country. This is the hottest country in the world. The United States right now is the hottest country in the world. And when I was around that table, it was a nice group of people, many of whom I knew from previous. When I saw the passion they had for the country, almost everyone, and you probably have the tapes, it was very public, but almost every one of them said, thank God for the United States. Without the United States, they couldn't really have NATO. It wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. It will in the future because now they're paying much more money, but it wouldn't work. It was great. And I left here differently. I left here saying that these people really love their countries. It's not a ripoff, and we're here to help them protect their country. Okay, we'll do one or two more.
Thank you, Mr. President. A question on Spain. Are you satisfied with today's...
Oh, I think Spain's terrible what they've done. No, I do. They're the only country that won't pay the full up. They want to stay at 2%. I think it's terrible. And, they're doing very well. The economy is very well. And that economy could be blown right out of the water with something bad happening. Spain is the only country that... Are you from Spain?
Yeah.
Good, congratulations. You're the only country that is not paying. I don't know what the problem is. I think it's too bad. So we'll make it up. You know what we're going to do? We're negotiating with Spain on a trade deal. We're going to make them pay twice as much. And I'm actually serious about that. We're going to make Spain... I like Spain. I have so many people from Spain that it's a great place and they're great people. But Spain is the only country out of all of the countries that refuses to pay. And, so they want a little bit of a free ride. But they'll have to pay it back to us on trade because I'm not going to let that happen. It's unfair. It's unfair to NATO. All right, sir, please. Go ahead, right in the back. Yeah, you, tall one. The tall man.
Mr. President, Johannes Petra from Austrian National Television.
How are you?
You once said that you would end the Ukraine war in 24 hours. You later said that sarcastically.
Well, of course it was sarcastic.
But you've now been in office for 5 months and 5 days. Why have you not been able to end the Ukraine war?
Guy.
Because it's more difficult than people would have any idea. Vladimir Putin has been more difficult. Frankly, I had some problems with Zelensky. You may have read about him. And it's been more difficult than other wars. I mean, look, we just ended a war in 12 days that was simmering for 30 years, frankly. We ended Rwanda and the Congo. They're coming to sign the documents. We've already signed basic documents, but they're coming, I think, to the White House on Friday. We ended Serbia was going to go at it. But maybe the most important of all, India and Pakistan. And that wasn't whether or not they may someday have nukes like we're talking about in the Middle East, like we're talking about with Israel and Iran. This is they have nuclear weapons. I ended that with a series of phone calls on trade. I said, look, if you're going to go fighting each other, it was getting very bad. You know how bad that last attack was. It was really bad. If you're going to go fighting each other, we're not doing any trade deal. No, you have to do a trade deal. I said, we're not doing any trade deal. And in fact, I had the general, who was very impressive. The general from Pakistan was in my office last week. Prime Minister Modi is a great friend of mine. He's a great gentleman. He's a great man. And I got them to reason. I said, we're not doing a trade deal if you're going to fight. And if you're going to fight each other, we're not doing a trade deal. And you know what? He said, no, I want to do the trade deal. We stopped the nuclear war. Go ahead. Go ahead, Jeff. Here's another beauty, Jeff. He's a beauty, all right. Go ahead.
Mr. President, to follow up on Ukraine, will the United States contribute any more money to Ukraine's defense this year to the $5 billion that allies are giving? And one question, you had another meeting with the Dutch opposition leader, Mr. Wilders. Can you tell us about that meeting? And are you upset about his anti-Muslim stance?
I'm not upset about it. It's just his view. He's unhappy with the way things are going in this country and various countries. He was an opposition leader, and I was asked to meet with the opposition leader by the people that are running. I think they have some deal where if you have a meeting, you're supposed to meet with an opposition leader. I said, that's strange. We don't do that. But I met with I didn't know him. He seemed like a very nice guy, but he's in opposition to the current people, and that was set up by the current people. So I assume when I met with the Prime Minister, you're supposed to meet with the opposition. We'll have to try that sometime in our country. Let's not do it. But I thought he was very good. As far as money going, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of spirit. Look, Vladimir Putin really has to end that war. People are dying at levels that people haven't seen before for a long time. Go ahead. Go ahead. White shirt. Oh, she's all excited.
Okay. So,
I can't. Yes, she is.
Ukrainian. I would
Where
like
are you
to
from?
ask you, I'm from Ukraine.
Oh.
So my question to you is whether or not the U.S. is ready to sell anti-air missile systems Patriot to Ukraine. We know that Russia has been pounding Ukraine really heavily right now.
Are you living yourself now in Ukraine?
My husband is there.
Wow.
And
I can see you very, it's amazing.
and me with the kids, I'm in Warsaw actually because he wanted me to be
Is your
there.
husband a soldier? No?
He's
He's there now?
Yeah.
Wow. That's rough stuff, right? That's tough. And you're living here?
in Warsaw.
And you're a reporter?
I am.
Good. So let me just tell you, they do want to have the missiles, okay, as they call them, the Patriots. And we're going to see if we can make some available. They're very hard to get. We need them too. We were supplying them to Israel, and they're very effective, 100% effective. Hard to believe how effective. And they do want that more than any other thing, as you probably know. That's a very good question, and I wish you a lot of luck. I mean, I can see it's very upsetting to you. So say hello to your husband, okay? Thank you. Go ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. You were criticizing
Where are you from?
Bloomberg News.
Oh, Bloomberg.
You
That's
were
wonderful.
you were criticizing the Federal Reserve Chair before coming to this summit.
Yeah, I think he's terrible.
I was wondering if you've begun interviewing different
Yeah.
candidates for the Fed pick.
Yeah, I know within 3 or 4 people who I'm going to pick. I mean, he goes out pretty soon, fortunately, because I think he's terrible. We have no inflation. We have a tremendous economy. Hundreds of billions of dollars of tariff money is pouring in. Factories are being built because they don't want to pay the tariffs, so they're building them all over the country. I think we're close to $15 trillion. I told you $5.1 trillion from the Middle East alone, but of investment money coming in. There's never been anything like that in the history of our country. But we have no inflation. And we have borrowing because Biden, stupidly, they did short-term debt. So we have borrowing coming up. And, we'll go 10 years, maybe longer, maybe shorter, but we'll go a long period of time when we do the debt. And because of him, because of this guy, we will have to pay for years. We'll be paying for him. And I said to him, listen, there's no inflation. He says, but maybe there'll be some. That's true. I said, if there is some, what you do is raise the rate. I'm okay with that. You raise the rate in 2 years from now or in a year from now. But because the rate's high, we have to pay more for debt. It's pretty equal. In other words, if it's 4%, it's 4%. If you drop it a point, you'll pay 3%. So it's fairly equal. Not necessarily, but fairly equal. So we're going to end up paying maybe 2 points or 3 points more. 3 points would be about $900 billion a year because of this very average mentally person. He's an average mentally person. I'd say low in terms of what he does, low IQ for what he does, okay? Wait, so instead of paying $900 billion, we don't want to pay 900 just because he doesn't want to lower the rate. I said, if there's inflation in 2 years or 3 years or 1 year from now, you raise the rate. You take care of the inflation, among other things. But he's probably a very political guy, I guess. I don't know. I think he's a very stupid person, actually. All right, one more. Let's go. How about you? Go ahead. She looks so happy and everything.
Thank you.
That's why I
I'm
picked
from
her.
Spain too. I'm Ana Buch from La Vanguardia. I wanted to know if you...
You're where from?
Where?
Spain too.
Oh.
I wanted to know if you want to
That's the
negotiate...
Spain corner right there. Shouldn't have said that. That's okay. I do like Spain, by the way. I think it's unfair that they're not paying, but go ahead.
Are you going to negotiate directly with Spain about...
I'm going to negotiate directly with Spain. I'm going to do it myself. They're going to pay. They'll pay more money this way. You should tell them to go back and pay. You're a reporter? Tell them to go back. They ought to join all of those countries that are paying 5%.
I love this.
Spain's going to be just about the only one that's not. They were the most hostile toward doing it. It just doesn't make sense to me. Okay. All right, Kelly, go ahead.
Now he's got one more.
Here we go. Here's another one.
Hello, sir. Thank you very
We
much.
got them all today.
Okay. So, Mr. President, you talked about expecting some on-the-ground assessments at Fordo and other
Yeah.
sites.
Now here-
Is that
here again.
Israeli and U.S.?
It's been obliterated, Kelly. It's been
What is your message then, sir, to the intelligence community when they present reports? You're not disputing the DIA report.
not.
You're just
They presented a
exists.
report that wasn't finished. We're talking about something that took place 3 days
Context.
ago.
I understand that, sir.
The
It's an
report was
initial
done
assessment. So
2
what
days
is
ago.
your-
Wait a minute.
Yes.
They didn't see it. All they can do is take a guess. Now, if you take a look at the pictures, if you take a look how it's all blackened, you know the fire and brimstone is all underground because it's granite and it's all underground. You don't show it. But even there, with all of that being said, the whole area for 75 yards around the hole where it hit is black with fire. The group that's run by this gentleman, in fact, you may want to talk about it for a second because we're going to issue a report. And I think it's not even a very exciting report at this point. It's been obliterated, totally obliterated. And they did a report, but it was like, if you look at the dates, it's just a few days after it
Understood,
happened.
sir.
So they didn't see it. They said it may be very severe.
Understood. Do you have a message for the intelligence community, though, in terms of
not
unvarnished
understood.
information getting to you, that it's not
I don't
just-
really have a message. I would say issue the report when you know what happened. I wouldn't say that it could be severe or maybe not. They use the word severe. It could be severe or maybe it's not.
And briefly,
So people like you picked up and said,
Bingo.
"Oh, it's not severe."
We're just
no,
looking for
the report was not
No,
a
you're
complete report. Yeah, the message was probably wait till you know the answer before you.
And,
go
sir,
ahead.
did you not have a public component to your Zelensky meeting for a tactical reason with President Putin?
Let him answer.
Hello, Mr. Secretary.
Yeah. There's a reason the president calls out fake news for what it is.
Thank you.
These pilots, these refuelers,
Come on.
these fighters, these air defenders, the skill and the courage it took to go into enemy territory flying 36 hours on behalf of the American people and the world to take out a nuclear program.
That's right.
Is beyond what anyone in this audience can fathom. And then the instinct of CNN, the instinct of the New York Times, is to try to find a way to spin it for their own political reasons, to try to hurt President Trump or our country. They don't care what the troops think. They don't care what the world thinks. They want to spin it to try to make him look bad based on a leak. Of course, we've all seen plenty of leakers. And what do leakers do? They have agendas. And what do? Do they share the whole information or just the part that they want to introduce? And when they introduce that preliminary report that's deemed to be a low assessment, you know what a low assessment means? Low confidence in the data in that report. And why is there low confidence? Because all of the evidence of what was just bombed by 12 30,000-pound bombs is buried under a mountain, devastated and obliterated. So if you want to make an assessment of what happened at Fordo, you better get a big shovel and go really deep because Iran's nuclear program is obliterated.
That's
and
right.
Somebody somewhere is trying to leak something to say, oh, with low confidence, we think maybe it's moderate. Those that dropped the bombs precisely in the right place know exactly what happened when that exploded. And you know who else knows? Iran. That's why they came to the table right away, because their nuclear capabilities have been set back beyond what they thought were possible because of the courage of a commander-in-chief who led our troops, despite what the fake news wants to say.
This is exactly what I said today when I ran down the 5 reasons why this whole thing's a hoax. Nobody else. You hear anybody else talking about this morning? No. The news is running with this. And it's an insult to our intelligence. He's absolutely right. He's right on the money, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth. Fantastic decision.
But you're not disputing the report said what it said, even though it was initial.
Listen to this woman. Listen to her.
The report said what it said, and it was fine. It was severe, they think, but they had no idea. They shouldn't have issued a report until they did, but we've gotten the information. I think Pete said it better than you can say it. And, you know, you should be proud, you, especially you, should be proud of those pilots, and you shouldn't be trying to demean them.
No, there's
Those pilots flew at great risk, a big chance that they'd never come back home and see their husbands or their wives. Let me just tell you, you and NBC, fake news, which is one of the worst, and CNN, New York Times, are all bad. They're sick. There's something wrong with them. But you know what? You should be praising those people instead of trying to find some. By getting me, by trying to go and get me, you're hurting those people. They were devastated. You know, I got a call from Missouri, great state, that I won 3 times by a lot. And I got a call that the pilots and the people on the plane were devastated because they were trying to minimize the attack. And they all said it was hit. But we don't think it was really maybe hit that badly. And they were devastated. They put their lives on the line, and then they have, and I'm not referring to you, but real scum real scum
I
come
think
out and
he
write
is.
reports that are as negative as they could possibly be. It should be the opposite. You should make them heroes and heroines. You should make them really people that they were so devastated when they heard this news. And you know what they said? One of them, I spoke to one of them, he said, "Sir, we hit the site. It was perfect. It was dead on." Because they don't understand fake news, because they have a normal life, except they have to fly very big, very fast planes. But it's a shame. You should be making them heroes. All right, in the back.
Absolutely right.
Go ahead, back white. Yeah.
One more.
White jacket. Yeah.
I thought we were done, but now I think he's just got a new
Go ahead,
taste.
give my mic.
Hello. Deborah Haynes from Sky News. Mark Rutte, the NATO chief, who is your friend, he called you daddy earlier. Do you regard
Yes, he
your
did.
NATO allies as kind of children?
No, he likes me. I think he likes me. If he doesn't, I'll let you know. I'll come back and I'll hit him hard, okay? No?
Do you
He did
regard-
it very affectionate. Daddy, you're my daddy.
Do you regard your NATO allies, though, as kind of like children, and they're obviously listening to you and they're spending more,
Oh,
and
she's-
you're obviously appreciative of that. But do you hope
He's trying to get
that
a quote out
actually
of
they're
him.
going to be able to defend themselves, defend Europe on their own,
I
without
think they
the
need
United
help a little
States?
bit at the beginning, and I
But
think
in
they'll
the-
be
in
able
the
to.
end-
And I think they're going to remember this day. And this was a big day for NATO. You know, this was a very big day. They took it. One of the gentlemen said, "You know what? We've been trying to raise money raise the rate for 30 years," he said, 20 years, from almost the beginning. And he's been there for a long time. He said, "Until you came along, it never happened. What you did is amazing." It's been sort of an amazing day
But do you
for a lot of reasons, but also for that. Yeah, go
Do you
ahead.
think they can do it without you, though, in the future? Can they do it without
Well,
the
ask
United
Mark.
States?
I mean, you have to ask Mark. Okay? So we're heading back. We're heading back. I want to thank these two gentlemen behind me. They're incredible people, both of them. They've done a fantastic job. And Susie's in the front, and she's done great. And Monica, thank you very much. It was quite an exciting time. And we're going to be heading back. We'll be back soon, and we'll see you in Washington, D.C. Remember this, we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you.
There you have it. President Trump. Speaking of NATO, I'll tell you, measured, and I love the tone that he had yesterday, or today rather. That was fantastic. That was fantastic. And then Hegseth got up and really set the record straight. Look, I said it earlier. I gave the 5 different reasons why I knew this was a hoax and it was busted like those bunkers, and it was obvious to me. But ceasefire wouldn't happen. That's number one, biggest probably of all, if those sites weren't really hit and completely obliterated. Smells more like damage control than real damage. That's number 2. The fact that they're talking about relocated uranium, they don't know where the 900 pounds went. That's another reason. It, I think, just shows that this is all spin and damage control because they got real damage. CNN again, citing anonymous sources. Always a red flag. Always a leak. And it's always, as Hegseth said, Secretary of Defense, I think very rightly so, it's always just a piece of it. It's not the real and full, complete picture in the context. And you heard the president try and make that point with that reporter who was asking the questions. Fourth, Israel wouldn't pause. You see how hard and heavy they were going? They wouldn't have paused unless Iran had, and they would have known that their program was devastated. They just would not have done it. And then the Iran regime trying to save face here, another piece of this. But the bottom line and the big point, as you just heard, you don't call a timeout if you're winning. Both Iran and Israel agreeing to a ceasefire at the same time tells you everything you need to know. The strikes worked. And they don't want to give him, that's it, they just don't want to give him credit. The media spend trying to walk it back so they can hurt Trump. And as he pointed out, rightly so, you people ought to be thankful, you ought to be grateful. You ought to be grateful that these pilots were able to do what they did. You ought to be grateful that they were able to go into it the way that they did. And they go out there, as you said, they don't know whether they come home to their families or not. They have no idea. And that's the problem. Each and every day they go out and they face danger, much like police, but it's a very similar thing. It's always an issue with authority. You notice that? Well, I'll tell you why. There's a reason for it, because we wrestle not against flesh and blood. These people always have an issue with authority. They always have a problem with authority. That's where it comes from. They don't want you thinking, well, why is that? Well, as I mentioned, massive spiritual implications because of it. So anyway, I thought this fantastic press conference, this whole idea, by the way, this daddy comment, did you hear that? I'm going to play that for you before we get out of here.
Greatest analogy, but
And hang on, let me find it. Here it is. This just happened before we saw him speak. NATO chief just called Trump daddy following his F-bomb drop the other day. They said 47 running the show. So here you go. Here's the clip.
I mean, we may do papers on it, Marco. Maybe we're going to do papers. I don't even know if you need them. They're not going to be fighting each other. They've had it. They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. You know, they fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes. Then it's easier to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes use strong language.
You have to use strong language. Every once in a while, you have to use a certain word.
I think we have to join the other side.
I think that was affectionate, too. I don't think there was anything rude or weird meant by that, but it is funny they're going to say that Trump's daddy, and of course that's hilarious anyway in itself, because he really is. The adults are back in the room, folks. That's just a fact. That's the way that it's going to lay out. All right, winners today. Thank you for the reminder, Joanne. Appreciate the help with that today. Books on the line. A copy of my book, Good News, Hope, and Encouragement for Trying Times, for yesterday's winner. Over on Rumble, we see your name all the time, Tennisel. And I hope I'm saying that right, Tennisel. Please email me, justin@justinbarclay.com. Today, Justin, can you hear him out there working again? They're drilling. Looks like it's raining out there. I can't imagine that any of that is effective in what they're doing is actually going to work. In the rain, but I guess that's what they're meant to do right now. And then today's winner, another book, Laura Gardner Sweeney. Laura Gardner Sweeney, congratulations, Laura. I appreciate you sharing today the program. You help us break the algorithm. Whether you're on Rumble or you're on X or you're on Facebook, even YouTube, if you help us share, you help us get the word out about what's going on. And the truth, as you see today, was a moment where truth was desperately needed. And we were able to lay that down. I hope people got to hear it because of that. So thank you so much. Send me your information. I want to get a book off to you. I'll sign it and send it to you in the mail. Back tomorrow morning. No fireside chat tonight. Wishing you the best. If you're on Locals, you're a VIP. Hang on for just a few minutes, and I will wrap with you. And I'm trying not to talk too much today because I got this junk going on in the allergies or whatever it is. But thank you so much for being here as always. Wishing you the best. God bless. I got good news and bad news. The good news is it's a deal and a steal for you. The bad news is I missed out. Well, I just bought a bunch of bedding. I just bought a bunch of new pillows and sheets and things from Mike Lindell at My Pillow, and I didn't get this good of a deal. For a limited time, Mike is selling his pillows, the classic, $14.88. That's it. The My Pillow, the thing that started it all, just $14.88. He had one of these big box stores that canceled on him. You know how they do. Well, this is actually your win. It's a win for everyone. A win for Mike because he can unload the pillows at a great price. It's a win for you because you get a good deal, and you can help support this program at the same time. Get your pillows for $14.88 when you go to mypillow.com/Justin. Use code Justin at checkout. That's mypillow.com/Justin. And while you're there, shop for all kinds of great things. I love the towels. The best towels I've ever used in my entire life because Mike's got all kinds of great goodies at mypillow.com/Justin. Do it today. Okay, hanging on the line with us, our good friends over on Locals in the VIP. If you haven't already joined, make sure you do, because that way you'll get to hang out and see